The Keening of the Kalfou, Part 1, The Breach. They teach you in botany that plants don't scream. They tell you that a dying leaf or a snapped stem releases chemical signals, airborne distress hormones, a silent cry for help. They lied. They're starving for an anatomy, a wet, pulsating architecture of gristle and vein to tear open and give shape to the agony. They don't need pheromones. They need a throat to pull the sound from the soil and scream it into the sky. And God help me. I didn't just plant a seed, I gave it the lungs to finally speak. Or maybe they just hadn't engineered a throat big enough to amplify it. My name is Detra Reynolds. I'm 53 years old. I have a master's degree in agricultural science, and I am the best horticulturalist this Midwest soil has ever seen. But 5 minutes ago, my humidity sensors hit 100%, and the moisture in the air isn't water anymore. It's blood, cold, ancient and heavy with the smell of a swamp that died a billion years before humanity learned to crawl. The seal didn't break because I failed. It broke because I succeeded. I made it bloom, and God help me. I think it's looking for its roots. Part 2, The Rewind. I've lived in Kansas City, Missouri for 30 years. If you know anything about the Midwest, you know the weather here is a bipolar beast. Freezing, bitter winters that crack the earth open. Humid, suffocating summers that bake the clay into brick. It's a graveyard for fragile flora. But my yard is an anomaly. The local garden clubs call me a wizard. They see a 53-year-old black man who can make Amazonian nightshade bloom in a Missouri frost, and they think it's just academic genius. And don't get me wrong, I have the degrees. I know nitrogen cycles, soil pH, and automated irrigation like the back of my hand. I taught myself how to outsmart the climate. But science only covers the topsoil. The roots go deeper than that. I was born in New Orleans. My grandmother was what the folks down in the 9th Ward called a traiteur, a healer, a woman who knew which root could break a fever and which leaf could curse a well. She practiced the old ways, hoodoo, voodoo, ancestral herbology. Whatever label you want to pin on it, she possessed an innate, arcane understanding of the earth. I hated it. As a young man, I wanted logic. I wanted data. I left Louisiana, came north to the plains, and traded her superstitions for microscopes and soil samples. I thought I had left her world behind. I didn't realize that my green thumb wasn't just a knack for science. It was her blood singing through my veins. It was an inherited resonance with the living world. I just cloaked it in technology. And then, 3 months ago, I found the listing on a private botanical forum, an undocumented lineage of flora from an isolated ecosystem. A subspecies of flora recovered from a subterranean cavern system that had been sealed since the Bronze Age. The sellers said it was impossible to cultivate. They said it died within hours of touching modern soil. To a man like me, that wasn't a warning. It was a dare. Part 3, The Assembly. The Balkan Forum users were amateurs. They treated this primordial isolate like a standard botanical anomaly, running it through the gamut of modern agricultural triage. They subjected samples to CRISPR-Cas9 sequencing only to find the genetic code was too alien to map, or perhaps too defiant to be read. Others attempted meristem tissue culture and nutrient agar, but the cellular structure suffered instant catastrophic necrosis the moment it was exposed to oxygenated environments. Some tried high-frequency hydroponic baths, hoping to bypass the soil and stimulate root propagation, but the plant rejected every synthetic nutrient profile, effectively starving itself into desiccation. They all concluded the seeds were inert. They were looking for a biological trigger in a lab when they should have been looking for an environmental resonance in the deep. They treated an ancient specimen like a houseplant. They didn't understand that a plant adapted to a subterranean Bronze Age ecosystem doesn't want sunlight. It wants pressure. It wants darkness. I built a hyperbaric biodome right next to my water heater. Sealed steel, thick plexiglass, automated misting nozzles. I engineered the exact atmospheric pressure of a cave system buried 2 miles beneath the earth. I adjusted the LED spectrum to block out all UV, leaving only a deep, bruised violet light. On paper, it was a masterpiece of modern agricultural science. But when it came time to mix the substrate, the soil, my hands did something my brain didn't authorize. I didn't look at my peer-reviewed botanical datasets. I reached for my grandmother's jar, the one I hadn't opened in 30 years. I told myself I was just experimenting with organic, mineral-rich river silt to alter the pH. That's the lie my scientific mind manufactured. But deep down, in the marrow of my bones, I knew what I was doing. I wasn't mixing fertilizer. I was preparing a grave. I was using her recipes, the exact ratio of graveyard dirt, dried nightshade, and well water. I didn't use a trowel. I used my bare hands, turning the earth until my fingers bled, whispering words in a Louisiana patois I didn't even know I remembered. I pressed the seed into the dirt, sealed the dome, and turned on the pressure pumps. I expected to wait weeks. It took 3 days. Part 4. The Deep Roots. It took 3 days for the cotyledon to break the surface, 3 weeks to choke the interior of the biodome, and 3 months to break me. I thought I was controlling it. I adjusted the nitrogen. I regulated the pressure. But the plant wasn't feeding on the chemicals I gave it. It was feeding on the resonance. Every time I checked the monitors, it drank the ancestral blood in my veins. The Guardians thought the freezing Midwestern winters and the dry plains would keep this thing dormant forever. They didn't count on human pride. They didn't count on me. The pressure in the room isn't dropping anymore, it's flatlining. The air smells like salt water, ancient rot, and something older than the stars. The seal didn't just crack, it shattered. They call them the Olders. I thought it was a myth, but as the portal opens wide in the center of my Hyde Park basement, I see them. They aren't coming through the portal. The portal is them. A massive, undulating mass of cosmic appendages, stretching across a dimension we were never meant to perceive. And they aren't just invading my house. They are anchoring themselves. They found a root system. Through this plant, through my blood, they have hitched themselves to the earth. The sirens are crying out across the city now, but it's too late. The frost won't save us. The concrete won't save us. I wanted to prove I could make anything grow in this soil.